Okay, I get it. You want me to compare the Mi11 Ultra with the 13 Pro. Still, by the way, one of my favorites, the Mi11 Ultra. So, yeah, today, this is a comparison between the Mi11 Ultra camera and the 13 Pro. And let's see how they both handle different situations in this comparison between the Xiaomi Mi11 Ultra and the Xiaomi 13 Pro. Let's dive into this. Now, of course, between the Mi11 Ultra and the Xiaomi 13 Pro, there are quite a bit of differences in terms of approach. For one, we have a 1-inch sensor on the Xiaomi 13 Pro, and of course on the Mi11 Ultra, a smaller one, but not small by any means. Heck, larger than most top Android phones offer, as in Samsung. A 1/112-inch sensor size, which is still quite large. Not to mention that you do have a periscope that you don't get on the Xiaomi 13 Pro. So zooming in, without a doubt, will be better on the Mi11 Ultra, especially because the sensor size is still a 1/2-inch sensor size, which is again larger than, for instance, Samsung has to offer, and a high resolution as well. Yeah, this camera setup isn't a joke, and it's still holding up really well in terms of performance and how it does. But like I said, how does it compare to the 13 Pro, which is really good? Anyway, let's dive into some shots and showcase the differences between the two. Now let's start with normal pictures, because there's a lot to say about the difference in terms of approach here. The Mi11 Ultra goes for a more normal approach, and something that you see on a lot of phones. The more brighter, a little bit more saturated shot, where the 13 Pro goes for more of a contrast look. For myself, I prefer that overall when it comes to these shots, simply because it gives a little bit more life to the shot itself. It looks like it has more depth to it. It looks more alive and also a little bit more like I've seen it. And this goes for the ultra wide, the main sensor, and of course the zoom lens as well. But of course, in some shots it can switch around a little bit, because simply put, they're cameras and they handle different situations differently in every single moment. So my perspective is more on how they perform in general. Sometimes you will see that the contrast is a little bit more on the Mi11 Ultra, and sometimes I do prefer the Mi11 Ultra result. Now when it comes to styles, the Xiaomi 13 Pro for me still has the edge here, even though I have the possibility to quickly play around with the Mi11 Ultra as well, selecting that same black and white and of course filmic mode as well. I love that possibility to play around with it, like I always say, and both of these allow me to do so. But if you are using the main sensor or maybe a little bit of a zoom, then I will say that the Mi11 Ultra cannot hold a candle in comparison to the 13 Pro when it comes to effectively use these filters, simply because it looks better, it has more contrast, it allows the shot to have more depth to it. When it comes to, however, zooming in, of course, then it's a little bit of a different story. The Xiaomi Mi11 Ultra has a periscope, and a periscope zooming in 5 times allows less light to come in and therefore looks a little bit darker. Therefore, I will say it switches around a little bit in terms of my preference for it. But again, that's part of the story as well. As always, preference is definitely something that you have to keep in mind when looking at phones like this. Now, of course, as stated, there is one thing that is clearly a big difference. One, you get a periscope on the Mi11 Ultra, where you don't get that on the 13 Pro, but the 13 Pro does have a telephoto that actually moves, allowing you to get really close to the subject, but also having that really nice depth of field in those shots, looking like it's been taken on a professional camera, especially if you take still shots. That camera is not a joke at all, and probably one of my favorites. Heck, when it comes to, for instance, portrait, that camera is actually really good, allowing a lot of details to come in. Do I still think that the sensor needs to be a bit larger? Yes, but honestly, when it comes to this camera, it's been so good. Now, of course, I do want to say one thing really clear. The Mi 11 Ultra has one big benefit. It has that display on the rear. If you want to record yourself in the high resolution with the main camera, you can. Which you cannot really do in terms of framing yourself with the 13 Pro. Because simply put, it doesn't have that rear display. I know it's a weird gimmick, but at the end I learned to love it. And it's something that makes photography and taking shots of yourself much easier. And really, I love that possibility on the Mi 11 Ultra. Therefore, that difference is also something that you have to keep in mind. Will we get that on the 13 Ultra? Probably not, but honestly, I wouldn't mind if we got that on the 13 Ultra. Because, yeah, it's something that I've used quite a lot, especially after getting the updates. Because at the beginning, it really wasn't good. But now, it's excellent and something that is really a useful feature on the Mi 11 Ultra.
But unlike the 13 Pro, I can use the rear camera easily and frame myself because of the small display on the back, which the 13 Pro doesn't have. Very handy if you want proper high quality video recording of yourself. When it comes to the 13 Pro, I just have to guess and hope that it's in frame, because I cannot see myself and then judge if I'm properly framed here. We'll find out later.
Both the Xiaomi 13 Pro and Mi 11 Ultra recording at 4K 60 frames per second. Neither can zoom out in this mode to the ultra wide. Seems that the Mi 11 Ultra is a bit more punchy than reality though. Now both 8K 24 frames per second. Seems a little bit more washed out on the 13 Pro, but that's on the phone itself. So it could be different in reality. More shadows on the Mi 11 Ultra, which I do prefer. Again, colors, about the same story. Recording 4K 30 frames per second. Can you zoom out both? Oh, sorry, I was zooming in. Yes, they both can. Using the Ultra right now. It's good. Zoom in. Oh. Zoom into one. There we go. Again, it seems it's Mi 11 Ultra. It's a bit of sharpening going on and a bit more contrasty look, but I'm not 100% sure. Again, this is on the display. And now we come to Selfie. Of course, both of them are limited to 1080p. However, with the Mi 11 Ultra, you can record up to 60 frames per second, where with the 13 Pro, you cannot. However, you can see clearly it is zoomed in more when it comes to the Mi 11 Ultra. So to make a straight comparison, both of them now 1080p and 30 frames per second. Both of them are not great. Let's be fair. Both poor dynamic range. So there's that, just not good. However, with the Mi 11 Ultra cannot
is this. This is definitely with the telephoto, something that the Mi11 Ultra simply cannot compete with. Something that is really fun to play around with. Look at this. However, the Mi11 Ultra isn't bad at it by any means. This is still really good. Just not on the level of the 13 Pro, that's for sure. But really good still, nonetheless.
Now, of course, night mode is also something that we have to discuss when it comes to the Mi11 Ultra and the 13 Pro. Now, there is a difference again in terms of approach, and I should have elaborated that better when it comes to comparing the Vivo X90 Pro and the Xiaomi 13 Pro. Because simply put, my focus was a lot on the colors. And with the Xiaomi 13 Pro, if you use authentic mode, the warm tones that I have in my city are mostly gone. And that's really a gripe that I have with it. Even though in terms of having a more natural night look, the 13 Pro does perform better here. But how does the Mi11 Ultra perform compared to the 13 Pro? Well, let's showcase the difference. And straight away, yes, the Mi11 Ultra does hold those tones better when it comes to this warm feeling. However, most of those shots I did take with, of course, the authentic mode, and therefore there is a difference in terms of effect there as well. Now we get to low light, and I'm gonna make a separate video about explaining what I kind of mishandled in the previous video versus the X90 Pro. But let's get down to how it compares to the Mi11 Ultra when it comes to the 13 Pro. Now, low light straight away, I will have to say, is such a hard thing to really nail. There are some elements that you really want to showcase where it gives that feeling of night mode. And that feeling, without a doubt, is better on the Xiaomi 13 Pro. That feeling of it being night is done much better on the 13 Pro. With that being said, there are some things that I have to critique when it comes to the 13 Pro. The city that I live in is quite warm, tones are yellow, and that is something that is definitely a miss when it comes to the Xiaomi 13 Pro, especially in authentic mode. You can use the vibrant mode, and then of course the image will get brighter and more clear and your normal everyday low light shot. But when it comes to the authentic mode, I love the feel better, it just needs to work on the colors, especially the warm feel of it. Overall though, the Mi11 is still no slouch. Let me know what you think about the performance in low light comparing it to the 13 Pro. Again, preference is definitely a thing here as well. So, at the end, between the Mi11 Ultra and the Xiaomi 13 Pro, there are differences in approach. The Mi11 Ultra, for instance, doesn't have the Leica branding where it collaborates with Leica, so therefore I don't get the effects that I get on the 13 Pro. However, with that being said, before I had the possibility to play a little bit around with it, because before the update I actually had the 12S camera app on the Mi11 Ultra, and I will say that yeah, the effects were really good, and with the Mi11 Ultra it still holds up really well if camera performance is your thing. I think where the 13 Pro wins, however, is that 1-inch sensor having a little bit more natural depth, and of course that possibility to play around with the effects itself. That's one of the major selling points. But if you love photography and you love to just play around with it, both of these phones will provide you with great quality. But when it comes to stills, I think both of these will be more than capable to give you results that you want out of them. However, the 13 Pro is one where I would say it has more playroom, where the Mi11 Ultra of course is limited in terms of those effects that I really enjoy on the Xiaomi 13 Pro. Either way, that was my comparison between the Mi11 Ultra that is still holding up really well and of course the Xiaomi 13 Pro. Let me know what you think about it, and of course let me know what you think about the Mi11 Ultra. The one thing that I will say is that this is still before an update to the latest software version. I don't have it yet, and I'm not sure when I'm going to get it, but when I get it, I will of course create an update video on the Mi11 Ultra. Either way, hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And of course, I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, so make sure that you subscribe if you enjoy my content and come back for other videos. Either way, have a good one and talk to you guys in the next